says we're live, Rachel.
This part always makes me nervous. All right. Yeah, you guys are good to go.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Susan. It's good to be back with you this week.
Yeah, y'all. That was so interesting last week. I really enjoyed listening to that and seeing that. That was fun. Today, we're going to at least start talking about the things we carry, because it's quite an exhaustive list because we carry everything. We carry everything. Our supplies in particular, our note cards, our boxes, our tape, our labels, all of that stuff has to go in half of a carry-on. And we pretty much need somebody else. You know, they're in the supply closet over there, but really it's better if two people are packing that supplies. And then if you're lead, like in my case, I pack it all in one half and the other half has my clothes, and that's it for clothes for the 10 days. So I do have things I can wash out easily, but the supplies in particular, we carry them on because if we get there and we don't have the supplies, we can't work.
Now, in terms of some of the stuff that we bring, what would you say is like one thing on the list that we could not get down, or that would be kind of hard to find when we were down there? I'm wondering if it's those little ABC cards that we put in the physical card catalogs that we make. I think that would be kind of hard to find down there, maybe.
I can't speak here. It would be difficult to find, but it would be fairly easy to make.
Okay. You
would write the letter A, use your packing tape to support it, tape it to a regular index card, and you're good to go. In these communities, we do go old school. We don't have computers. They don't have computers.
Right.
But card catalogs are something they had when, I was growing up, and now everything's all on computer. I even helped my kids' elementary school. I remember when my Rachel was in second grade, I helped the librarian there take all the books in the library and put them on a database. It was insane.
Wow.
Insane. And things like that, though, it keep popping up in my head that make me realize that things that happened in my life a long time ago were like preparing me for one library at a time.
Oh, yeah.
They were training me to get to where we are. But the cards like you're talking about, but index cards are hard to find. And
just like the standard you're talking about, the standard 3x5, right?
Yeah, and I've never seen, I've seen index cards in the countries where we work, but I have never seen the actual box where we put the card catalog. And without that box, we're sunk. Sunk. We have 3 of them, but I know, where was I? Oh, in Cuba, they told me they don't have index cards. In the Dominican Republic, no index cards.
Well, and I'll also say, which I know we'll get into this, but like when we're there, we kind of hit the ground running with buying books in country, and I know we'll get into that later. So I just think like if we had a whole list of supplies to try to go around to different little stores and find, it would be just time consuming on top of, and it would maybe even trump the important work of trying to find books in country. So I think it's good that we just take a lot of stuff with us. And also the black boxes that Susan is talking about are like these snap and store boxes that are, I don't know, like a foot by 5 or 6 inches. And they lay flat and we snap them into place when we get there. So they're really easy to travel. And obviously the card catalog just fit right in there, because I was like, well, I guess we could use a shoebox or we could get them to makeshift something. But again, that's like you're using that thing constantly, the card catalog, those little boxes when we're there. So that would just be sucking up more time of our work time,
Well, and I like the snap and store boxes, particularly because they're plastic coated.
Mm-hmm.
So in a humid atmosphere, and even in an atmosphere where termites are an issue, those boxes will be fine.
Yeah.
They will stand the test of time, where a cardboard one, wouldn't work as well. And that's what I started out with, is the cardboard ones. And then as One Library at a Time moved forward, I came across those and said, this is what I need to be using. So that happened pretty much the same time as we got our nonprofit status, which will be 10 years in December. We've been working for a while before that, but yay, 10 years.
We're going to have a party. I just want to have a party or something. Well, obviously when everything's safe and we can all be together again. Okay, so we take, just to give people an idea, we take pens, we take the index cards, we take small ones. Sometimes we take big index cards. We take, let me think. I think what would be cool to talk about, Susan, is I was going to say let's talk about how we do the bindings, the book bindings.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, let me take you back a little while. This is a thing I learned too. The first library I did, I had little address labels, and I would put those on the books, and I drove myself crazy trying to do all this. But then when I came back, I worked on this library. It was 3 different trips to get this first library going. And when I came back, there were a couple of boxes of books, but she had not integrated them into the library because she did not have mailing labels. And I was insane. I took out, I used a Spanish language typewriter, a manual Spanish language. And she wasn't doing anything because she didn't have a typewriter. So now I know to make everything we do and everything we bring enough for them to double the library. And we try to make it so they can reproduce it. Okay. And so we take the packing tape. We take off a piece about 6 to 8 inches. And then we use a piece of notebook paper and we cut them into strips, and they become these little labels.
Yeah.
That are like 3/4 of an inch, whatever. And we use the packing tape to put those labels on the books. And we also always put it to the base of the spine. So that tape is protecting the bottom of the book as well as the top. And you were talking about all the pens and highlighters and all that sort of stuff. We leave it. We leave every supply we bring in the community. So we'll have, 2 or 3 things of packing. So that's more than enough to double the size of the library.
And also, if they couldn't get, let's say it was kind of hard for them to get index cards, maybe it was in a city or a town and they kind of had to, I don't know, maybe it was costly to get there or didn't have the time to get away, then, they could to make another index card, another thing they could do was to take, just cut out a piece of paper that would be the same size of an index card and they could laminate it with the packing tape that we leave.
Yes.
Would be another way to kind of make things sort of sustainable. And just also a note about the labels we're talking about on the spines are, if you've ever been into a US library, you'll see at the bottom, you've got the first 2 letters of the author's last name. So that's what we're doing. We are teaching them to write that. They write that down, and then we tape it on. So it's very manual. But it is cool to see when we have like some of the community members helping us, or the teachers, and then we set up stations. So we got like people working on the cards, copying the card catalog, looking at the title, writing that on, and then copying it down and passing it. And then we have a whole station of people cutting the tape, writing the first 2 letters of the author's last name, pasting it on. It's a whole
cycle. Thing. But that leads me to couple of things. First of all, we created, thank you, Paige, how-to booklets, and we have them in English and Spanish and French. So most of our the libraries we started are Spanish language, and so it's really cool to me where if you speak Spanish, in the groups, in the little groups, these people are writing the index cards, these people are putting the labels on, these people are doing. It's really cool when you pair an English speaker with a Spanish speaker, because they can take that how-to booklet and page 1 is the same for each of them. And we do that for a while, and then we switch. But what's so interesting to me is we're building community. That's sort of a side benefit. We're building community within their community with the librarians and the teachers who are going to be using the library. We're building community within, whoever goes down, but we're also able to build community between only Spanish speakers and only English speakers. And after maybe the 3rd day, they're sharing information about kids and food. And, it's just really cool to see that happen. And I think it is very empowering to the people in the communities where we work. And I'm always, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, Rachel, you and Paige, but when we're all said and done, I say, this is not one library at a time's library. It is your library. And if it doesn't work for you, change it. And as I've contacted people, a few have tweaked it a little bit, but for the most part, it's working. So that's really important. And
so once we get, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so once we could talk about supplies all day, because we spend so much. Well, Susan spends so much time organizing them, but also, painstakingly deciding, okay, the necessary things for us to bring. But I was gonna say, maybe we could touch on how we pack them at your house. I mean, in that little room you're sitting in right now, we pack them in your house and loading up the carry-on, but then also loading up the 50-pounders. And thank heavens, Susan, for Christmas, I think you got a handwear, right? Hand scale, which is just, I can hold it in my hand. You can put it on and I can lift up just long enough for us to be like, okay, Susan, is it 50 pounds? Are we over or under?
And when you're over, I mean, it when we order the books, they go into tubs. And then when we're ready to pack, we start packing them. And Rachel, how many times do we go back and forth on a single piece of luggage? I mean, 2 or 3 times, because we want to hit it right at the 48-pound mark. And, you'll weigh it, 52 pounds. 40 pounds. Take books in, take books out, it's crazy, but it's fun. But before the hand wear, You remember what we did, Rachel?
We just had the standard scale, and it was me lifting up and Susan, I think, sort of getting on your knees to try to get some kind of a view of the scale, and then it would not set, and then we would have to do the whole thing again. And that was, I mean, it was kind of like a sort of gird up your mind to get ready for us to try to weigh these things. But yeah, I'm really thankful for the hand scale now. And also, I think you've had a good idea we could mention about putting all the books in those plastic zip things.
Oh,
so like
yeah.
if you buy a comforter in the US or something, it's going to come in a plastic zip bag thing. And as a great way to recycle those and then to use those for us, Susan has said, let's start packing the books in there, because one, it protects the books, and two, we can leave them down there. Like in Peru, I mean, I took the luggage back, but I had to leave the books for when the library gets to get done down there after all this is over. And I felt, I mean, it was so much better leaving them because they were all in zipped plastic containers. Like they're just like, I know that we're leaving them protected. So,
well, I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah, I left them all in those, and brought back the nice luggage we just bought from one library at a time. But I left those, and I don't know. It's just a good idea, but it does make it a little bit more complicated, Susan, when you and I are packing it and then it's not right. So then we have to undo it. We have to unzip the suitcase, and then we have to unzip the plastic things that books are in. So, but it's worth it for the preservation of the books.
And our office is in my house, which is great for me. But yeah, we were using regular bathroom scales. That was just, but that's how, you and Paige have been with me. I try so hard to be frugal and to be a good steward of the money people give us. So, I was going, golly, we could really use one of those hand things. And then I was like, but it costs this amount. That would be so many books and, that sort of thing. And we do try, and this has been from the beginning, and I'm digressing a little bit, but we try to bring $1,000 worth of books. And so that works out to be about 2 50-pound suitcases, more or less. And when I first started out, I was trying to figure out a way to protect the books. And I tried plastic bags, and TSA went in there and ripped all the plastic bags. I tried bubble wrap. TSA went in there and pumped out the bubbles. And it was just like, how am I going to protect these books? And I came up with that idea just because I'd bought some sheets or something. And now there is a woman at a retirement center here in Charlotte, and she put out a call to all the people at Southminster to bring their bags when they bought comforters or sheets or whatever. And she regularly takes them from her apartment up to my father-in-law, and then Joe brings them home to me, which just blows my mind. People help, and financially they help, physically they help, they go on trips, but it's just really cool.
I think people getting involved with a nonprofit, I think a lot of times people just want to be given a job that they can do inside their natural gifting, or if you're a frugal person and you like to collect things, it's a great segue for you. It's a great thing for you to just go around collecting stuff, and then you can give it to a nonprofit if it's a material they need. It's so that's great that you found it with her. So okay, the $1,000. Let's talk about the 1,000. The 1,000 is not, we don't include the supplies in there. So when we say $1,000, we are talking about $1,000 of value for the books and resources that we are going to install in a library. And so we get that two ways, right, Susan? The US portion is what's in the 250 pounders. And so would you say, and you'd say that's probably a combination, right, of books that have been both donated to one library at a time and books that you buy?
Yeah, and our donations come primarily from Better World Books, so I'll give a little plug for them. They've been very generous. I mean, behind me right now are 4 cartons of books in Spanish from them. And actually, they sent me 9. So 5 of them I've already packed and put on the shelf behind me. And so what that means is I can do, I buy books from whomever, and they arrive and I put them in the plastic tubs, and then we pull from our shelves. But as long as our weight is okay, as long as we can hand carry them, we'll bring more. But depending on the country, we try to buy books in country, so we save a portion of that $1,000. Okay, and in Panama, we know we can buy books in Panama City and in David. And so we leave a little bit more money. In the Dominican Republic, we can't buy books there. I mean, they just aren't available. So we need to bring that full $1,000 with us. So, Panama, we can leave, 6,000 books we take, 600 books we take, and we can leave 400 to be purchased in country. So we're supporting some of the local economy and getting some authors that we may not really know about. So yeah,
there's a couple reasons. I think it's great when we can buy it in country because, there's obviously, like authors are saying, they're supporting the local economy, and there's letting the people that we're working with have a physical say, like they are seeing the things that they are purchasing that, we're helping them purchase for the library. But they're having a say in what's going into what they're going to help take care of.
right.
Which gives them more ownership, I think, too.
Yeah, I had, yeah. And I think it is so important, and we're able to do it in most cases. There have been a few libraries where we couldn't, but where the people who are going to be the librarians come and choose the books they want in their library. Like you said, it's an ownership thing. And so, you're talking about the money we spend. About $3,000 is the cost of an average library. And so I want 1/3 of it, minimum 1/3, to be actual physical books. Yeah. And I set that out from the very beginning. And then our other major expense is transportation.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it later, some of the ways we get books to the sites where we're going to work. But so $1,000 for physical books. The next major cost is the planes to get to the country.
Yeah.
And then there's the, food and the places we stay, and we try to stay at places that are $25, $35 a night. So we're not staying at the Ritz. So,
yeah.
And that keeps our cost low enough that we can create these libraries with $3,000. Also, the staying and that sort of money, we've done some pretty creative housing arrangements.
Oh man.
because we're so off grid,
Yeah.
there isn't a hostel or a hotel or anything. So we've slept in libraries, we slept in, hosts' homes.
We've slept
So
in school, in like the school, if there's a boarding school and it's a real world situation. We've slept in Peace Corps volunteers' houses. Okay, Susan, this is so interesting. But I wonder, can we maybe do a part 2 next week? And we can get in a little bit more to the different ways we take the books out. And then also too, I think you have a whole list of things that we take to most libraries too. So could we,
some of our books are books that always go, which makes it easier now for me to order because I start out with those books.
repeat order.
And I watch my dollars in the corner with Amazon and keep going until the money's out. But yeah, let's talk about that next week. This is
Perfect.
I think this is important for our donors to hear, as well as it's fun for us to talk about.
It's fun to talk about. And you have so much passion. It's so interesting to hear your perspective because of your passion and your history and what you were thinking when you set up different things. Because I've been with you for a set of years now, since I got out of the Peace Corps. But it's interesting for me to hear your side of it too. But yeah, so we'll do part 2, the things we carry, next week on our chat. So come back and have a listen. See you next week.
See you next week.